Great seeing you again in this new video in our course Masterclass in Project Management. And in this video, I will talk about estimating the activity and the project cost. We look at the activities, each activity as a cost, and it will help us to create the project cost. When we look at cost, we look at what are the principles to estimate the cost. What about estimating precision? Where do we find or what sources of estimation are we using? We have different types of estimating, which are analogous, parametric, and bottom-up estimating. And we also have, finally, the PERT and the three-point estimating. Let's have a look at the principles of cost estimation. Typically, the costs of activities are influenced by labor rates or the people working on the activities, experience level of the people, material costs, equipment costs, risk factors, inflation, and other relevant elements. That we have to look at what are all these parameters that are basically influencing the cost of activities and work packages. An important thing to understand is when we talk about the estimation precision. Here we have a small overview where we look at the WBS level, the type of estimation, the method, and the range. Typically, when we're in WBS level 1, we have the rough order of magnitude, and the method that we use is parametric. Typically, we can have a range of minus 25% up to plus 75%. And I remember one of my bosses was asking me for an estimate for a new connection on a wide area network. And I sent him the data. I said, that's the cost, rough order of magnitude. Now, ROM in computer world also means read-only memory. So he was a little bit confused and he asked me, what kind of monster is ROM? He was already used to me asking strange questions. So I said, this is rough order of magnitude. And he said, what does it mean? He never heard about it. I say it means that my estimate can be 25% cheaper up to 75% more expensive because I don't have sufficient information about the estimate. It can be all different if you calculate or when you make an estimation for the square meter cost for a house or an apartment. At the beginning, you don't know all the details. You don't know what materials you will be using. You may have some idea, but it depends. When you have more information, you will be able to get a better estimation. When you go to level 2 and 3, you have a budget type of estimate where you use analogies. And when you go to 4, 5, and 6 levels of the WBS, you come to the definitive estimate. And we'll talk about task details from minus 5 up to 10%. So these are things typically when you finalize a project, a difference of plus minus 10% is accepted by the company. It's a normal difference that can happen when things are done improperly. Even when you do things properly, there may be some differences. There are other ways that you can have a look. Here you have a different estimation type with different ranges. So you know how to define that for your company. And it's always good to put this in the SOPs, the standing operating procedures, or the operating principles of your projects. That's a very important element to share with the people so everybody knows when things change. There may be some changes later when we are finishing the project, when we are finishing the planning. Also important, where do we get the information about the estimation? What are the sources that we use? One of the elements is that we can use experts who have experience in the specific industry or similar project. It's always good to deal with specialists. We can find financial information from the company. We can have historical information. For example, construction companies keep records of the work and cost, and it is updated regularly. So they say we have to do this work in these circumstances, so they have already an estimation ready. The Delphi method is a very interesting method where people come together, they give some estimations, and people discuss. They look at the lowest estimate, the highest estimate. People explain how they determined that value, and then they do another round for estimation. And you can find a lot of methods how to use the Delphi method. You can develop your own method, and it's a very practical method that you can use to get an estimation of the cost for certain items. We can also look at analogous, parametric, or bottom-up estimation. And finally, we have the PERT and the 3-point calculations, which we will look at later in this video. The first point is analogous estimating. Here we are looking for analogies with other projects. We evaluate the differences and adjust the cost. We must also look into the interest rates, the inflation and parameters like that to get a proper estimation. But we already have previous projects which already give us a lot of information. We can also look at the parametric estimation. Here we have unit estimations like time, square meter, cubic meter, and other parameters. So when a task will take a certain time at a certain tariff, or we have to do a work at a certain square meters, and we know the price per square meters. Another element is the bottom-up estimating, and here we look at all the cost of the activities or the work packages, and we can calculate the total project cost. A very interesting estimation technique is PERT, Program Evaluation and Review Technique, and 3-point estimating. Both basically are methods, 3-point estimations methods, and PERT is like the older method which was introduced when we had the PERT precedence diagramming methods. So it's still kept the name, and with the PERT we have basically we're going to calculate an expected value and a standard deviation, where we have the estimation done based on an optimistic, a probable or mode, or pessimistic estimation. And we consider the beta distribution, which we call the PERT estimation, and we see that the estimated cost with the beta distribution is A plus 4m plus b divided by 6, and the standard deviation is b minus a divided by 6. We can do the 3-point estimating method, which is based on the triangular distribution, and here we take just the average of the optimistic, the probable, and the pessimistic estimates, and for the standard deviation we have the range, pessimistic minus optimistic, divided by 5. So here we've seen all different methods how to complete cost estimations. That's it for this video. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next videos. Thank you, and bye-bye.